you're not a parent, and the next day you're holding a child that is God's, but it also belongs to you. And
Right.
here's what I found. 9 months is a good amount of time to prepare on the nesting side, which PS nesting is a real thing, more of a nurturing, maternal, motherly instinct. And I think 9 months is practically enough time to like get a room ready, build a crib, get the car seats, YouTube how to put in a car seat safely.
Nothing like it. I would say that you think that you know love until you hold somebody that God allowed you to create and created in you. I think as a female, like as they are knit together in the womb. So I think it's an incredible honor and it's an opportunity to love such a little bundle of joy, but then also step into those different seasons of life. We have some amazing partners that we love to team up with, and GFA World is one of those people. So
it's one small step for man.
Neil Armstrong sets foot on the moon.
One giant leap for mankind.
Sometimes one small step can lead to a giant leap. If you have a call to change the world for Christ, GFA World invites you to their Ministry Apprenticeship Program. Take one small step. Log on to gfa.org/apprenticeship. Go to gfa.org/apprenticeship.
if you're looking to take off 3 months and you're like, I don't know what I want to do with my life.
What's next?
If you want to
Get
get paid to live in Texas, to learn how to pray for the nations and potentially be called into some form of ministry, you can check out the link, check out the videos of GFA World. They're one of our amazing sponsors, and we just love what they are doing and what they represent.
And this series is also presented by Minnesota Young Adult Weekend. You can join hundreds of young adults from across the state of Minnesota and us in Alexandria, Minnesota. We'll see you at Lake Geneva. Bring your young adult ministry, your campus ministry, your friends, and be ready to meet some new godly community as well. The dates are May 16th through 18th. And just like Micah said, the link is in the show notes. Get signed up today.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the FYI podcast, where we talk about faith, life, adulting, relationships, and so much more. And this series, we are leaning into another episode, another series of love. But this is going to be a brand new type of love that maybe none of you have ever actually heard about. It's called Storge love, family love, the family dynamics, where we've come from, those roots. And if we've never met, I'm Micah.
I'm Josiah Keneally. We're your hosts. Every Friday, we answer one of your questions as the listener, as the viewer on YouTube. And really, if you want to submit your question, by the way, you can DM us. We have a podcast account on Instagram, FYI Podcast. I'm hyper. I'm excited.
He is very
We're
excited.
rolling.
Tonight,
And
we're recording in the PM, which is abnormal.
we've never done this before on FYI, and we're doing something new, not only this month, but really, we answer one of your questions, so you can submit them. There's a link in the show notes of the podcast description where you can submit a question through our website, through DMs, through live events. And the question came in from Instagram. So follow the fam. It's a community of young adults who love Jesus at FYI Podcast. And Micah, what is it like becoming parents for the first time? It's been a while. Our oldest is almost 5. This month she turns 5.
Only and already. I would say there's nothing like it. I would say that you think that you know love until you hold somebody that God allowed you to create and created in you. I think as a female, like as they are knit together in the womb. So I think it's an incredible honor and it's an opportunity to love such a little bundle of joy, but then also step into those different seasons of life. So I would just describe it as you almost can't describe it. You have to experience it. What would you say, Josiah? You had different experience. I mean, especially having a daughter, because I think a lot of guys who have a daughter for the first time, it's just a different feeling than it probably is with having a boy, right? We haven't had any boys yet. We're pregnant currently with our third.
It's a fun update.
So we have
halfway through this pregnancy.
Halfway through, yes. So we have 2 girls, which are, 5 in the month of April and then 4 in August. So it's going to be a wild ride.
So we've been married coming up on 7.5. June will be 8 years. And so in those 8 years, God has done a lot. Like one day you're single And time actually goes really quick. It's like one day you're not a parent, and the next day you're holding a child that is God's, but it also belongs to you. And
Right.
here's what I found: 9 months is a good amount of time to prepare on the nesting side, which PS nesting is a real thing, more of a nurturing, maternal, motherly instinct.
Mhm.
And I think 9 months is practically enough time to like get a room ready,
Mhm.
build a crib, get the car seats, YouTube how to put in a car seat safely. And then for dads, almost every young dad, it's like this provider instinct kicks in. I would describe it that the paternal instinct is to protect and to provide.
Right.
And I watch guys start stacking up cash. It's like guys will, whether they have low paying jobs or high paying jobs, it's like they feel like they need to go
Yeah.
kill something so their family can eat it. And so really the reality is that there's a steep learning curve from diapers to formula to sleep, nurture, being surrounded by community, things like meal trains. But I would say this. I forget where I saw this quote. I think
Hmm.
it was in a TikTok or an Instagram reel, but they say that parenting is like watching your heart outside of your body walk around.
I heard you say it for the first time literally the other day, and I was like, I've never heard that my entire life.
Do you agree or disagree?
I think I have to slow down enough to actually observe that. But I would say, yeah, overall, I could see that definitely.
I feel it like, man, I think that I feel seen by that quote, because the familial love, like you were once a child being held by somebody
Right.
else. And there's a book that we have read to our kids that my mom read to us. And I realized this thing is generational and it goes very, very quickly. And Psalm 127, verse 3 is our verse of the
Mhm.
day. You want to dive into that?
Yeah, it says, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward.
And man, we sat with some young adults from the University of Minnesota. One of them
Hmm.
mentioned that he's Gen Z, and he described being a U of M, University of Minnesota student, like he's in a Christian community. So he has friends who follow Jesus and they want to get married. They desire to have a family, a future family, like
Mhm.
children someday. But he
Right.
felt like there's a duality on his college campus of Christians who view as we should, if we believe the Bible, if we believe the Word of God,
Mhm.
we believe that children are a blessing and an inheritance from the Lord. But if we believe the world, they're an option, they're
An
an
accessory.
accessory. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really a powerful perspective, but really, children are a blessing. I love the other psalm that says that blessed is the man whose quiver is full. And our quiver is growing. One of the things that I'll just stop and say is the truth is you don't know if you can have kids or not.
Mhm. Right.
Like the reality is you don't know if you can have kids or not. And we hope that you can. We certainly hope that you can, but the reality is there's no guarantees. And so I think that it's just really important to view
Yeah.
children. They are a blessing from the Lord. And one of the other things that we were just going to cover is this idea of Storge is
Mhm.
this Greek word for familial love. And I
Right.
wanted to draw two pictures:
Okay.
the maternal instinct and the paternal instinct, the mother and the father, because this is where babies come from. And this is, so I just want to dive in. My dad was a jeweler my whole life. The company that he worked for over 20 years trademarked a product designed by a famous artist and jeweler, and she really created something called the mother and child. I guarantee you've seen it in the stores, but this is like one of the products that my dad would help manufacture, that he was a stone setter. He would set diamonds, like maybe a birthstone for that
Mhm.
symbolized either the child's birthday and the mother would wear it around. But these were like heirloom necklaces, heirloom earrings, heirloom rings, even. And kind of a spin off that, one of the coolest stories that I know of
Hmm.
in my life is my dad created, and his company, Kirshner Corporation, that he worked for, they patented and trademarked something called the sun's ring.
Mhm.
I've talked about this only
You
a couple
have.
times, even with you, never publicly. But my dad, he's a jeweler and he designed the sun's ring. And I think that it's such a symbolic and meaningful thing because one of the oldest pictures, if you look at stained glass windows
Hmm.
through Christian symbolism, the mother and the child, it's like this almost sacred symbolic image of the mother and child. And similarly, the father is like this idea of a son's ring. I just think it's so cool that God is our heavenly father. I happen to have a great, healthy relationship with my earthly father, but to be the son of my dad who created the son's ring just puts a Storge love like that. That means something to me.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. I just think that when it comes to parenting, one thing that I've learned and I've kept in mind in the process is the love that you carry in your heart. Like if you don't raise your children, somebody else will. So I think that's when we can look back and like, is the world, is a child an accessory? And it's a have to, and it's just a checklist. I have the house, I have the picket fence, I have the dog, I have the girl, I have the boy, I have the two,
Right, like a
opposite
status
sex.
symbol.
Yeah. So I just like if you don't raise your children, somebody else will. So when it comes to like what is like being a first-time parent, I think you really have to establish your boundaries and where you want to go in life, who you are going to be as a family. And just some fun advice. This isn't even in our notes necessarily, but just looking at who are you in marriage, I think is year number one. And then if children is a part of your story, you have to take some time to discover like who are we as a family of three, or if you have twins, four, or whatever it is. So I think really taking some time to like embrace each season, no matter how major or minor it might feel. Like even biblically, when they would get married, they would go off for 3-year honeymoon. So it's like, why were they away from their family for 3 years? They were establishing who they were in marriage. And if you would do that in this day and age, people would look at you like you're off your rocker in the Christian realm. But even just like, who are we as a family of three? What does that look like?
Mhm.
What are our morals? What are our
I was
values?
just going to
And
touch on
how
that.
do we plan family trips? Like, what are our, what do you call it? Traditions, more or less. So I
Do
know
you
I'm
think
like,
that values are more determined or discovered?
I think it might be a hybrid of both because I think you value things, I value things. As a married couple, we value things. But I think when you have children, you think differently, you plan differently, you live differently, you're hyper aware of the things of the world that are after them that are not of value and valuable in any way, shape, and form. So I think along the way, you shape your values as well as some of them might be already predetermined just because of the way we're wired or hardwired, or we're learning how to be more like Christ did every single day.
I would agree that it's got to be some sort of a hybrid, but I would, if I had to pick one or the other, I think I would pick that values are a little bit more determined. I'm sorry, discovered
Discover, okay.
than they are determined. I would lean on the discovered because there's like, and we're this way, but like picture how naive we were on our honeymoon in Honolulu. And it's like we're gonna write up our family values. And there's some of those things that you already know, but I think you have no clue what life is gonna throw at you. And you
That's true.
discover through challenges, through obstacles, through pain,
Mhm.
through opportunity, through possibilities, through time
Yeah.
itself, you discover what you truly value. Because I think the other side of this is like parenting. I've found nothing more overwhelming, nothing that has, and I think a lot of dudes feel this is like, okay, I'm at home. What's my role? What should I be doing? And the house is clean. How can I help?
Mhm.
And I think that just that innate, like infant stages, like you learn how to parent an infant and then they're a toddler. And
Mhm.
then you learn how to parent a toddler and they're a child. And then
Yeah.
we're in the phase of like, we're learning what's it going to be like adding school and adding education and some of the extracurriculars. But I would just say that God gives you everything you need. as a
Mhm.
parent, and you
Yeah.
might have had bad models as parents. One of the things you're going to want to get plugged in now as a single young adult is you're going to want to find godly community. And we just did a whole great series about phileo. But
Mhm.
one of the reasons that's so important, last Friday night, we had a pizza party and a bonfire with some of our dear, dear friends. We met them when we were all dating.
Mhm.
Then we bought houses in the same neighborhood about the same time. We got married about the same time.
Yep.
We ended up
Kids.
having kids that are pretty close in age, and now our kids are learning how to play with each other. And
Mhm.
so I just think that it's impossible to raise godly children without the support of other. They say it takes a village,
Yeah.
other community.
Yep.
Any last thoughts on what it's like to be a first-time parent? The message I'm almost hearing from you, Micah, is like we can describe it, but until you experience it, there's no compartment for it. The amount of love that your heart abounds
Mhm.
with, the amount of affection and care that you have.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts on what it's like to become a first-time parent?
Oh my gosh. I think you just grow as a person. And I would say, I think it was actually Ruth Ann Mustetter who said this to one of my friends, Steph. And she's like, if you want to get married, if you want to be selfless, get married. If you want to become more like Christ, have kids. Because when your spiritual cup tips over, what falls out?
What's inside of it?
Yeah. And that's where it's like, is it frustration? Is it lack of sleep? Is it anger? Is it joy? Is it peace? Is it characteristics of Christ? Or is it like ugly and dirty and it looks beautiful from the outside until you take a peek what's inside your cup? And I think that's what it's done for me. It's parenting is a refining, never-ending process of sanctification in a unique way.
Parenting's a mirror too. Like I might have mentioned this. I remember distinctly, vividly, like I talk on my phone with friends for work. We work from home a lot. And I remember our like 18-month-old daughter, less than two,
Yeah.
walking around with like a hamburger bun of toy food, play food. And she's holding it up to her ear, talking like
Talking
that.
on the phone.
And
Yeah.
and so you know what? Parenting is a mirror. You not only it's the cup that
Mhm.
gets bumped and what's inside of
Yeah,
it
yeah,
comes
yeah.
out, but what you see your child do, you realize where they learned from and they learned it from you.
Yeah.
And so it's humbling. It's also, I want to try to give this justice, this concept of where I'm at today, 5 years into parenting almost, but also about to add a third because it's like we're out of diapers, but not for long. And so there's the season of parenting. There's the stages of parenting that we've talked with Sandra Stanley about on the Young Adults Today podcast. Be a great listen. I'm thinking of Jody Burnt
Yeah.
and the
Praying
episode
for your
of
children.
Praying for Your Children. But I would also say this back to the values
Mhm.
and discovering values. I've found that I used to think and be like the provider instinct has caught in and like I've got to protect my family. I've got to provide the food. God's our provider ultimately. And
Mhm.
in our family, my experience being a first-time dad and now about to be a dad again, is my family would rather have a present dad than a wealthy dad, than a provider dad, than a
Mhm.
dad who has it all together, air quotes.
Mhm.
They just want play
Attention,
and
love.
love. And our pastor Nate Rush has said that children spell love Time
Mhm.
and play
Yep.
Play. And so I just think that I'm reading a book about I think it's called The Daily Dad, and it's not a Christian book, but it reads almost a little bit like a devotional. And one of the things that was in yesterday's entry was that spend twice as much time with your kids and half as much money on your kids.
Wow. That's
And
good.
I think that if we're not careful, we can want our kids to have maybe more resources or more opportunities than we had. And I'm not so sure, like sometimes grit and scrappiness comes from having a whole lot of play and a whole lot of time and a
Mhm.
whole lot of
Yeah.
attention and freedom, but maybe not all the resources just handed to them.
Well, and I even taking into consideration, I think it's 95% of the time you will spend with your child is 0 to 18.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
after their 18th into their 19th birthday, you only get 5% of their life.
And maybe that's what we're trying to say in this whole episode that we haven't just come out and said yet,
Hmm.
is parenting also teaches you how fast time goes.
There's definitely a brevity of life, and I don't wish that a season away.
Like 5 years, we've gone from first tooth to loose teeth pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yep.
And it makes you, as a parent, at least, I don't know if you feel this way, I think you do, but for me, it makes me evaluate the yeses, the nos, the commitments,
Mm-hmm.
because is it worth time away from my family
Yeah.
in this precious season of life?
Well, I think it goes back to that value, and you prioritize your values. And if time and building memories and having a relationship, and you'll say, like, talk to your 3 and 4-year-old if you want to talk to your 13 and 14-year-old someday, asking them questions, doing life, and I think those are some just fun things that I think it's evident, and just their involvement. Like at the dinner table, we do not have a quiet dinner table. Like they're talking, they're asking questions, they have a million things going on in their mind. And we're like, we ask one question every single night at supper. That's become our tradition. And it's, what was your favorite part of the day? And everybody gets to share. And I think that, like, when you value hearing about people's day, when you value about that, I think it just, I don't know, you can sit down and slow down enough to say, like, hey, we have every single supper at the table. We have breakfast at the table. We have picnics on the weekends, like whatever that is, like what you value, you prioritize. When you prioritize, you value. So those are just some things, practical things, but unconditional love, I think, comes with parenting. And just like our Heavenly Father, like there's nothing we can do to make God love us more. There's nothing we can do to make God love us less. And I think if you have a true solid foundation in Christianity as a listener, your heart will resemble Christ, and your heart will feel and be the same towards your child, no matter what they do, no matter who they are, no matter what decisions they make. Like, you're going to love them for who they are. You might not appreciate what they're doing or how they're doing it, but you will love them unconditionally in that process.
There's a lot of wise people. Dr. Meg Meeker is one of them. She wrote one of my favorite books in general, and it happens to be called Strong Father, Strong Daughter. And the girl dad in me geeks out. And I think I've read it at least twice, listened to it on Audible as well. And it's just one of those things, like, there's medical research out there. There's
Right.
biblical research. Did you know that in the Bible, there's a lot of instructions for parents? And so if you choose to become a parent someday, I think the community is here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely don't claim to be perfect parents or have it all figured out, but
Right.
there is no one who does except for Jesus. And so we always want to point you to him. And we'll see you right back here next week. We're going to unpack the hardest part about adulting.
Oh man, that's going to be fun.
This is the FYI podcast.